Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal story, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Hello, listeners. This is Grant McGaugh, host of Follow the Brand, and we have a special treat today. I'm going to introduce you to Angela Golden Bryan. She is from the Caribbean. She's an actress, she's an author, she's a storyteller, is the way I put it. And she has about 20 years of experience in television, film, theater, doing voiceovers, commercials, and some industrial jobs. She also worked as an actress and studied acting in exotic locations such as the U.S. Virgin Islands, southern Spain, Los Angeles, and South Florida. So throughout her acting career, Angela has completed conservatory programs, taken various intensive acting workshops, and continually trains to further develop her craft. While proudly serving in the U.S. Navy, Angela completed both her bachelor's and master's degrees in counseling psychology from Chaminade University of Honolulu. And from that experience, she was able to write a very, very well-known screenplay known as The Fireburn. The Fireburn is a historical fiction based on the Fireburn, as it became an Amazon bestseller in June of 2019. The attention this book received inspired Angela to publish James and the Fireburn, which is her second book. This is an anti-bullying children's book using the Fireburn as a backdrop. Her children's book correlates bullying with the behaviors of the plantation owners who abused the laborers and encouraged children to break the silence of bullying, and it won an award with the Book Authority as one of the Caribbean history books of all time. So I want to introduce you to Angela Golden Bryan. She has a wonderful, wonderful brand. I believe she will be able to help you to frame a story within your own life and how you want to be able to perceive from an alignment perspective for what you're doing in your daily life, as well as how you look in your digital platform. So without further ado, let's bring on Miss Angela Golden Bryan. Welcome, everyone, to Follow the Brand. This is your host, Grant McGaugh, and today we have a very, very special guest. We have Miss Angela Golden Bryan. She is a world-renowned author. Some people say bestseller. I like world-renowned because she's sold all over the world. She's been in the entertainment industry for 20 plus years. She's done a lot when it comes to writing, as well as being an actress. She does a lot when it comes to philanthropy, and we'll learn a little bit more about that. But I want you to hear it from Angela herself, because what I liked about her is that she has branded herself so perfectly when it comes to alignment with her actual day life, her day-to-day life, and her digital life. So if you see her in the digital world, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's her website or other social media, you're going to see a consistency. And that attracted me to her. And we got involved together actually through the Delta sorority. And it was through the Crimson Market Week. She got involved, and she was one of the entrepreneurs that we highlighted. And in her story, as I got to do her story, we came across some similarities. We came across some things that were very, very impactful for her life and what she does. And I'll let her tell you that story. So without further ado, here's Angela Golden Bryan.
Wow. Thank you so much, Grant, for the invitation, the opportunity to just chat, connect, share from my heart. And as I listened to a lot of what you said, I'm thinking, that wasn't me. That happened accidentally. That was God or whatever, because it just seems like so much of my life and the things that I have accomplished all came because I was following my passion, came because I was enjoying what I was doing. And it wasn't because, well, I'm going to make some money, I'm going to make a name for myself. It was because this is what I wanted to do. And I have to say, just starting from very young, it seems like so often we people, human beings, when we're 4, we're 5, we're 6, we have this idea. And now I'm going to personalize it. I had this idea of what I wanted to do. I would be in, and I'm going to age myself right here, because I would be in the family living room singing Aretha Franklin, and I'm like, and my family is like, okay, and they're clapping and everything. But I wanted to entertain. I wanted to bring a smile to people's faces. If I wasn't acting like Aretha Franklin, I was telling stories to my dolls or anybody who would listen. I was making stuff up. Someone once said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So that was me. I was just telling stories. And I found it made me feel good to bring a smile to other people's faces. So fast forward, I get into high school, I joined the drama team, get into college, drama team, the Navy, drama team. And I said, oh my gosh, I must be an actress. So, decided, yes, I want to seek my fame and fortune in Hollywood. And that's when it went downhill for me. When I put that pressure on myself of having to accomplish something, having to accomplish some type of title, instead of, I'm an actress, let me just do it for fun and have fun with it. And once I turned things back around and said, this is something that's fun, things started happening for me. So that was the acting portion. And that was sort of like phase 1. Acting started dying down. And I went to this acting workshop, and the coach said, you cannot wait for people to come to you. You can't wait for Hollywood to knock on your door. You can't make excuses. Well, I'm Caribbean American, I'm African American, I'm a woman, I'm a middle-aged woman, I can't get any roles.
Right.
Wait, you pick up your smartphone and you make things happen. You pick up your laptop and you write something. And that's how I started writing, was out of this desire to create something to act in. And it turned into something that I could not even imagine, something that was inside of me. And I can just go on and on, but let me just rest for a while to see if you want to redirect the conversation anywhere. Because
no, this is interesting. This is like, we just tuned into your movie, your story, and this is how we get behind the scenes just a little bit. We see a lot of people in front of the camera, and you see them portraying a role.
Yeah.
But you don't see the person in the role of their life and what's really happening. And you stated some things like you're a young girl. And you're like, you know what? I see Hollywood. I'm going to be a Hollywood actress.
Yeah.
But not seeing even a broader picture, right? That there's all kinds of acting. You could be in a play. I'm sure you were in school plays, and you could be in plays in your community. And we didn't even talk about that because you are from the islands, right? Virgin Islands, St. Croix, is that right?
Right, absolutely. Yes.
Now,
I was with I'm going to say the Courtyard Players, and that was like eons ago. They probably, anyone listening that's from St. Croix will probably say, the Courtyard Players, who are they? But I was with the Courtyard Players way back when I was in high school, and I had so much fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's what we're talking about. So you got your passion doing those things. And then that you wanted to transcend, I can make a career out of this.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you get that fire. I love, you have a fire, you have a passion. So we want to ask this one question. And that is, if you had to know one thing before all this whole 20, 25 year journey, what would you have done differently if you had known, before your career began?
Wow, what and dealing in hypotheticals can be so iffy because I'll sit here with hindsight and say, "Oh, I would have done blah blah blah," but would I really? Because would I be the same person today if I did something differently? But let's just honor that moment of imagination and hypotheticals. If if I had known it was okay to pursue my dream without the idea of having to be hugely successful and having to make it, just do it for the sake of doing it, that would have lifted so much pressure off of myself. If I knew that it was okay to, like so many people do, to get a waitressing job to support my acting habit, that would have been okay too. Had I known with clarity that more than simply being an actress, I am a storyteller, that would have allowed me to branch out in so many areas a lot sooner. And I have to tell you, Grant, I've told you this before, but I'm going to reiterate it here. Let the recording show that you were definitely instrumental in helping to shape that knowledge of who I am. Because at first I thought, well, I am an actress. I am a writer. I am a producer. I am a speaker. And so I said, well, I must be a creative communicator. I know that there is a narrative thread here, but you nailed it when you said you are a storyteller. So you brought it all together in this cohesive title. And had I known that I was a storyteller, I would have given myself permission earlier to explore the other avenues of storytelling. Because what I found out is that what gives me pleasure is not simply the acting. It's, once again, going back to when I was 5 years old. It's bringing a smile on someone's face. And I can do that if I'm a speaker and I'm sharing a story of encouragement. I can do that if I'm producing my documentary and someone's watching it and maybe tears come to their eyes. It's evoking these emotions of, wow, realization. Is this what happened? Or they're reading my book. So I would say knowing my brand more specifically would have allowed me to experiment and play even more, instead of thinking, I must be an actress. I'm an actress, and there's only one way to get there, and it's Hollywood. So that's what I would say. And I maybe I went off the path.
No, that was a perfect answer to that question. And I want to let the audience know this. I've talked to my audience before about going on our website at 5-Star BDM and filling out the online questionnaire. This is what Angela did. And she answered about, 10 to 12 questions. And I was, there to make a personalized video for her. And I encourage you to see that video. It's very, very good. I liked it. And during that time, our time that we kind of collaborated back and forth for a week or so, and I came up with the tagline. I said, I see you as a storyteller. And she just had this aha moment. It was very surreal. And she said, you fit that, you framed my character, you framed my personal brand very eloquently. And I got a spark out of that. That was very, 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 very good. And again, the reason why I liked what attracted me to her is that I think you've done a great job of framing your life and telling your story. And it became very evident to me, without question, about some of your superpowers and what you're very good at. So if someone was wanting to pursue a career similar to yours, do you have any advice that you would want to give?
Yes, come to you first and get some clarity, because clarity brings focus. And with focus, so much more can be done. It's that whole analogy of someone shining a flashlight on something. What does a flashlight do compared to shining a laser on something? A laser has the ability to cut, to perform surgery, to heal, to ignite fires, whereas a flashlight, it's going to light the path. It'll help out, but not like a laser does. So really having a professional help with the clarity, because maybe I might be, or you might be, or one might be stuck on some title of what it is they think that they really are. And it's running into a lot of challenges where maybe if they can understand that they're getting their joy, that sense of meaning from really something else. It's from bringing the smile on the person's face, and it doesn't have to be through acting. That came from just knowing I'm a storyteller. So I would say clarifying what it is that really makes your heart race, what really brings you that sense of fulfillment. And one thing that I see so evident here is I have to bring in the Bible, my favorite book. Yeah. In Proverbs 18:16, it says, and I'm going to paraphrase that, God's going to make room for your gifts. And whether you're a man, you're a woman, King James Version says a man for a man's gift, but we know it's for anyone. And so as we follow those things within us that brings us joy, it leads a path. And so it's going to happen, but having a professional to help can maybe chop away and make a clearer path instead of going like this and like that,
Yep. Yeah. Do it in record time instead of taking the long way.
Yeah. And time is important, but I do believe that if it's something that's inside of you and it's your dream, as long as you're moving towards it, momentum will happen and things will start to happen. And I would say that our connecting was definitely one of those things created through that momentum and the movement. Had I not been doing my thing, had I been sitting around, stuck and stagnated in confusion, would I have had the opportunity to work with you? Probably not.
Yeah, getting out of your own way, and then stepping back. But it does help to have others, especially those that are in your corner, that are looking out for you and helping you. And then you get things, and I think that's how, the divine works. Yeah. A lot of times, because, he's in everything in all life, right? And then sometimes like, you know what, Angela might need this bit of knowledge or a little push in this direction. I'm going to bring Grant over here.
There you go.
He'll just say a couple of words. You won't spend a lot of your time, but it might help. So. and vice versa, because we definitely have helped each other. And I want, because you, especially around storytelling, right? And you won an award for telling a story that's rooted in your family, is rooted in your tradition, is rooted from where you're from. Tell the audience a little bit about, the Fireburn and what's that all about.
Yes, the Fireburn, and I am representing with my Fireburn T-shirt here, if you can see it. Yeah, so for those who aren't familiar with the history of the U.S. Virgin Islands, in 1878, the U.S. Virgin Islands were Danish West Indies. They were owned by Denmark. And although slavery had been abolished 30 years previously, the laborers, they weren't slaves. They were called laborers. They had jobs. They got paid. But it was, let's just say, you get paid 10 cents a day, but I'm going to charge you 20 cents a day for room and board and da-da-da.
Oh, we know what that is. Yeah.
Exactly. So there was a situation of almost like indentured servitude. The working conditions were horrible. It was just horrible. So 4 women rose up, and there were men, women, and children involved in this labor revolt as well. And they ended up burning down half of the island because they wanted to be heard. They wanted things to change. And so that became known as the Fireburn, because they burned down half the island. And what I discovered was that my family was involved in that. And once I found that out, that lit a fire under me to learn more and to tell the story. And that's how I started on this path of spreading the word about the Fireburn. We talked a little bit before about my being in Toastmasters. So anyone who's a Toastmaster and you're listening to this, please don't count my ums and my ahs, because that was a long time ago. Don't have your little clicker counting, okay? I know what you do. I've done that.
Oh, yeah.
The first time around was an opportunity for me to create a story. And I did that with Toastmasters. And I started winning awards with this Fireburn story. And these were people that had no connection to the Caribbean, no connection to the African diaspora. And I realized people resonated with this story because it's all about human rights. It's all about violation of a person, of their dignity. And at the end of the day, the majority of people don't want to see that happen. And so they connected with the story. And I realized that this was something that I needed to continue working with and sharing the story broader.
Well, it went viral, as we say, right? It went viral all across the nation. And you got, what was the award that you got for Fireburn?
Well, what happened is after the speeches in Toastmasters and winning club, best story, just all the different awards that Toastmasters gives. When my acting teacher said, don't wait for Hollywood to come to you, do something. I said, wow, I can write a screenplay about the Fireburn and I'll have something to act in. So then I wrote Fireburn the Screenplay. And I looked at it and I said, I can't act in this. This is too much. The women that burned down half the island, they're called queens. And these characters were so large and so wonderful. In my opinion, I felt humbled. I said, I cannot do that. Maybe I can get a cameo appearance in this if it ever comes to the big screen. But that book became an Amazon #1 bestseller.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I went on to produce, or I should say co-produce, because I have Marjorie Tingle and Stephen Tingus, and the director was Joel Finneman, to produce a documentary. And it's being shown in film festivals now. And we've gotten best short documentary, best producer. We've been nominated for quite a bit, and it's doing very well.
This episode is brought to you by 5-Star BDM. 5-Star BDM is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement in operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our 5-Star Business and Personal Branding Company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result is more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Please visit www.5starbdm.com to learn more and view all the episodes of Follow the Brand. I think it's doing wonderful. I see it all the time. They're talking about it, from here to there, that you've gotten a lot of awards, a lot of accolades. I think you nailed it, as they would say, and you nailed it from your writing skills. You nailed it, from telling that story. And wow, you say you went on this one track, but here you come back to your roots more or less, and you were able to present it as a gold standard. We call that a 5-star seal.
Oh, yes. And it's so fulfilling to see the way things just happen so organically, from a story in a club to a book, which, by the way, before the documentary, I ended up writing a children's book because I was going into the public school, speaking to the middle schoolers, high schoolers, and universities.
Right.
And I thought, what about the younger kids? They need to learn about this also. And I took a retreat and I sat down to write a children's book about the Fireburn. And as I started writing, I created a character who was being bullied. And it reminded me of my son very much so. And so my son's whole experience, our family experience, went into the James and the Fireburn, which is a children's book. And that one ended up winning an award as well as one of the best Caribbean history ebooks of all time. And now it is also, it's not just an ebook, it's a paper book. So that one it won an award. And I'm like, wow, look at Papa.
That right there is the reason why I probably even started personal branding. It's the stories The untold stories. Think about if you didn't tell that story.
Exactly. And for some reason, someone said Google yourself, and I was like, okay, I'll Google myself. And I started Googling myself, and that's when I found out that people were actually using my children's book in their classrooms as an anti-bullying book.
Nice.
And no one had ever told me, but it was on this teachers forum. Use this book. It da 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 da, and I was so humbled. I was so humbled. It was such a blessing.
And how does your family and the people back in St. Croix, as they now see their story told? I mean, there had to be some adulation from that.
It is absolutely community pride, because whenever someone tells our story, it's us.
Yeah.
I don't think of it as Angela Golden Bryan, because it's not my story. It is the island's history. And I simply get to be one of the vessels, because many people are telling our story in the islands. It's just that a lot of people many people have not heard about it beyond the islands.
Correct.
So I get to be one of those vessels, and I see it when I put it up. I want Virgin Islanders. I want people from the African diaspora. I want African Americans. I want Denmark people. I want historians, all of us, to see it as a win for us, because our story is being told. And when our story is told, it helps us not to repeat the atrocities that happened back then, because we won't forget.
Absolutely. No, and those lessons are life lessons that we learn today, as you just started talking about bullying.
Exactly.
Still a big problem. Still a big problem. Yes.
Yeah. Like people will say, history repeats itself. And I heard someone say how did they put it? They pretty much said, well, it doesn't really repeat itself, but it comes in a different way. It dresses up in a different way. But just like the laborers being beaten and abused, that is bullying. So now we see that on the playground. So do we say history is repeating itself, or do we say it's just showing up in another form? We can say both. But when we take a look at the bullying that was happening in the 1700s, the 1800s, and we teach children to recognize it in its oldest form and correlate to what's happening now, they become more sensitive to it, to, oh my gosh, that over there, that's bullying. Stop it. Or I'm not going to do it. And that's about what happens when we tell our story.
Yep. You build that awareness and you carry it forward into the generations. And because they've read the book, they now understand, the right and the wrongs, and how you create some generational hurt for certain individuals, without question. So I'm going to change the conversation just a little bit. Oh, were you done?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're good. So we want to frame again something about you. And I want you to tell me something that others might find interesting that they may not know about.
Wow, I'll pull something out. I actually joined the military so that I could finish my college education. I received a scholarship when I graduated from 12th grade, and I went off to Chaminade University of Honolulu, and I felt so much pressure, like many kids have when they go into college, to have a major. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a speech and hearing pathologist because it sounded great. I had no idea what it was. But because I had this need, this peer pressure, self-imposed pressure to have a title and something going into, I ended up wasting 2 years after I found out I don't like this. So I managed to change schools. I changed majors. I ran out of money. And at the end of 4 years, I did not have a degree and I had no more money. So I ended up joining the military. I joined the Navy. And through the Navy, I finished my bachelor's degree and I finished my master's degree in psychology and counseling psychology. So that's a little something that a lot of people don't know about me.
I love that story. It's a common story. I've heard it from a couple of other guests that we've had on the show when they were going through school and they were taking up a major and it seemed like this is what they wanted to do. And then when they got close to getting into that profession, they realize this is not something I want to do. This happens, and there's other choices, and the path of life is not always straight. There's a lot of curves. And if you think about it, as you look through, it's like some of those curves are what propelled you to get to where you're at today.
Absolutely. Because one of the things as I think about it, what would I have done differently? I like to believe that I would have majored in theater or music and went after my passion. But I understand that majoring in psychology and working as a counselor, that has added so much depth to who I am as a person.
Nice.
And understanding people. And I can bring that to my storytelling because I get people.
Yes, it was necessary. So it seems like a distraction, but it was necessary.
I believe.
And you probably learned some how to be more resourceful. And as you get into the military, I'm sure there's a lot there in that track. And you came out of that whole experience ready to be an adult.
Yeah.
And to give your gifts to the world.
Exactly. And I would say one of the things that it really helped me with was calming my emotions and not falling apart and being a basket case. I tended to be pretty emotional and excitable. So it really helped me to stop, think, is this a preference? Is this a need? What's going on here? And to question myself. So really it was backdoor therapy for me. And it was perfect.
No, that goes to get into in one of my other previous episodes in the podcast. I talk about a personal code. My personal code was integrity. And as I stepped back, and I had a writer actually write my bio, and as I told my story, she helped me to frame my personal code. So I would call it how I've lived my life. This is my, my belief system where it's really rooted in, and that was integrity.
Yes.
And that was great. So I want to ask you, what are your beliefs about how you should live your life and conduct your work?
Really, it is that golden rule. Is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I do believe in what you do unto others, it's going to happen. You reap what you sow. And so it's not so much out of this sense of self-preservation and selfishness that, oh my gosh, I better do the right thing to them so that the right thing, that's not at the core of why I do it, but it's like, it is the right thing to do. We love one another. I so want to live this life of loving one another. What does that look like? Forgiving one another and not being easily offended. So those are core values to me. And you mentioned the word authenticity. Authenticity. Those are core values for me. Integrity, authenticity, and doing the right thing.
Well, I tell you, when we did our the video, and in the video, you stated that you don't do anything of value without first praying.
Yes.
And that's your center. That helps to center you. Yes. And I know that you do a lot of work, I believe, around holistic healing and things of that nature. You want to tell the audience a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's interesting. When I look at my path and my education, I've done charts that talk about my gifts, and I love knowledge. And so, although I didn't go to medical school, I would study a lot about natural healing, about the mind, body, and spirit. Another thing that a lot of people don't know about me is I ended up going to seminary. And so I have a master's degree from seminary. And for me, that's about my connection with God. The grand overall designer, who he is and who is he on a personal level. So as I look at holistic healing, it just doesn't work to isolate one part of the body and say, I want to be healthy in my body if I don't consider the mind. Am I doing things that are beneficial for my mind? Am I being at peace? Am I meditating? Am I forgiving? And there's also overlap. Do I have a relationship with my creator? And what does that look like? And it's going to be different for everyone. And so for me, that's where the holistic healing comes in. It's mind, body, and spirit. And I ended up becoming a raw food chef because I was so interested in how do you incorporate healthier foods into the existing diet. And I was a vegetarian for a year, and until my body told me, eat some meat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So even in my education and my training, I have equipped myself in the areas of the mind and the body and the spirit. And I have seasons of life. I was working in ministry in one season totally. Another season I was doing just the health food. I had a little catering business. And now it's this creative expression, which is very fulfilling on all levels. But I would say that that's more of an emotional thing. It's creative. And so I have my seasons, but I think ideally is having it all come together in this package where mind, body, and spirit, you're just humming and you're tuning and it's all in sync and you're just there doing and being. And that's how I feel at this point in my life, because the things that I'm doing are creative, feeds my mind because I'm being stimulated creatively, and it therefore feeds my spirit because I feel like I am doing what I was created to do. And then I give honor and glory back to my creator, and I'm fulfilled and other people are blessed. So it's this beautiful cycle that just continues for me. And that's when I feel like I'm in my zone.
Well, I'm in your zone now. That was great. I feel I got a tune. There's some alignment there, and that's just very beautiful because it's all about your brand and who you are. Really is that golden rule of knowing yourself, know thyself, right? Yeah. And the more that you can know yourself, the more you can give to others on an authentic level.
Yes,
right?
And I do love giving. I love giving back, and that's been one of my challenges is that I give a lot away for free. And at the end of the day, I'm looking, it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't sell anything. I just gave everything away. Actually, I just covered my expenses. And that is something that I'm definitely working on because that's not called entrepreneurship. That's called charity. And I do have a
That's
nonprofit.
Philanthropy, right?
Philanthropy, which
that's
I'm huge
philanthropy.
on. So that's one of the things that I'm working on is really keeping my nonprofit a nonprofit and my business a business, mm-hmm. and being okay with that. But it's in my DNA to give and to serve, but also understand that I am worthy of receiving, and it is a blessing to receive.
But without question. And you just kind of alluded to one of the questions I wanted to ask, and that's the problem that you want to solve. Because when you're solving a problem for someone, especially, and that's what business is, right? Business is people will pay you because you're solving a problem for them.
Yeah.
And now you just have to put a value. You have to put the value on that. That's not up to the individual. If you give it away, obviously freely, they'll take it. But
absolutely,
people will value certain things. I do the same. Like we're doing this free podcast. We want to get the word out. But the true knowledge, the true things that will solve your particular problem, that's something we're going to have to take up on an individual basis. And then you don't mind exchanging your energy. That's basically what money is. Exchange your energy to gain the solutions that you have. So if you want to frame that a little bit more, like tell us more about what problems are you solving for individuals that will be valuable.
At this season in my life, it is the problem of cultural preservation, the problem of youngsters growing up not knowing who they are and looking around and seeing Hollywood, seeing gangsters, whatever, and thinking that's who I am, that's who I must be, but losing touch of the richness of the culture. Also, the problem of boredom, the problem of bullying and those human rights violations. So a lot of what I do right now is that educational, it's the encouragement, it's the stimulation, and it's cultural preservation is during this time frame. You ask me in a few more years, might be something different.
Well, that's evolution. That's evolution. And you have to do certain things. Now, are you offering, courses? Is that something somebody, I can tune into a webinar. I can tune into is there a book? I mean, how are you packaging that for your business?
Yeah, so for right now, basically, if you go to my website, my books are there. AngelaGoldenBryan.com. I have my books on the product page. I'm also about to distribute my documentary. So those are ways that people can see what I'm doing. In the past, I've had classes and workshops and seminars, and it's something that I still enjoy, but I've put that on the back burner for now. But I'll definitely start blasting it out there once I start doing those types of courses again, lunch and learns, and focusing on that side. It's wow, so much to do. What do I want to focus on right now?
Right. Right now, are you still acting? Do you do anything of that nature?
I'm acting right now. However, things starting with COVID, they slowed down quite a bit. And so I'm looking at it as, hey, this is a great time for me to continue producing. But my agents, they still have my number.
You might be getting a call here pretty soon as we start to turn the corner in COVID. And then we're starting to get back to more physical activities. People want to get out more. They want to do certain things. I think you're in the right industry, especially. I think it's going to be a great upturn. And then depending on how you want to frame that, whether it's physically or in the digital space, I think you'll be able to do a lot. So, and that's one of the reasons why we even do these podcasts. We want to showcase people that are very interesting, doing some very impactful things. I think you're one of those persons. And I wanted to make sure that you get out into my audience so they can, tune into what Angela Golden Bryan is doing. Now you make your home here in Florida, right? But I know you get around a lot.
Yes, and I haven't been doing a whole lot of traveling lately, but that's one of my passions. I absolutely love traveling, but being home has really allowed me to focus with much more intensity without the coming back home and trying to bring it all back together again. So it's been good. But to go back, don't want to miss this opportunity for your listening audience. I know Oprah is listening. Oprah Winfrey, I know she's listening. I'm just going to say, Oprah, I have a project that I would love to do with you. You can, we'll connect. You're resourceful. I know you know how to find me, AngelaGoldenBryan.com, or I would put my personal phone number out there, but other people might get it too. But yes, Oprah. So just wanted to know that because I know you.
I'll make sure that I got her on speed dial.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Please let her know.
Oh, yeah. We'll send her the clip. She'll like, oh, yeah, I've got to tell this story. Here's something that a lot of people don't know about me is that one of our family members, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, as a matter of fact. And we have one of the oldest ongoing family reunions in the country. I think we're in the Guinness Book of World Records. I think we're going on 104 years continuously. And that's the Bryant Fisher family. We've got about 3,000 descendants or so that came out of Omaha, Nebraska. And then one of the most famous of those persons is Gabrielle Union.
Really? Does she come to the reunions?
Yes, she does.
Wow.
Yes,
check it out.
I've met D. Wade there. I met him here as well, but I met him out in Omaha. And he did. He does come out. She definitely comes out because that was a part of her upbringing. It's part of who she is. And she talks about it a lot. If you do some research on her, she'll talk about her family and where she's from. And she did grow up in Omaha. She did a lot of time out in California and whatnot, but she does come back and she does visit with the family. She's very down to earth, very real person. So I'll make sure she gets a video clip as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Queen Gabrielle Union.
Oh, there's some symmetry. Yeah. I see the wheels are turning there.
Yeah.
So this is another story that could be told, through your brand.
No, yes, absolutely.
So we're going to conclude. And before I conclude, is there anything else that you would like the audience to know before we go ahead and segue out?
Well, we did mention my documentary. So if anyone is curious about what that looks like and to learn a little bit more about the event, they can go to fireburndocumentary.com and it's how it sounds, FIREBURN documentary.com. And there's some great information there.
Well, this has been wonderful. Angela, I'm so glad you were able to share a lot of your story and what you're doing. You guys have got to tune in to her. If you're interested in say, well, what does personal branding really look like in the real world? You're looking at it right here. She's done it at a high level. I know she's in the entertainment industry, but you can see she's a very down to earth person, and that she's done things and she's figuring things out even to this day, how to do certain things. So you'll find out that personal brand is something that evolves over time, but it's up to you to manage it and to tell your story. It's up to you to tell your story. Don't let someone else tell your story for you. Tell your story at a high level, so when they repeat your story, it'll be as close to the truth as possible. So from Grant McGaw and Follow the Brand, please tune in to us again for another episode. You can reach us on the website at www.5starbdm, that's B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. But we're also on Instagram, Spotify, and all the rest of the podcast stations. So see you next week. Thank you very much.